Number 7, case number REZ 2011-16. Final action will be taken on this case by the Lowndes County Commission on December the 13th at 5:30 at the Commission's chamber. Mr. Davenport, would you like to present the case, please?
Yes, sir. This particular request is located about 1.5 miles north of downtown Lake Park. The request in itself is to go from an R10 zoning with a Twin Lakes overlay to a general commercial zoning for the use that we believe to be a restaurant. With that, of course, all general commercial uses will be allowed unless conditioned otherwise. With that, it did receive a recommendation from planning of inconsistent with the future development map, but consistent with goals and policies, and I detailed those out for you. It also received a recommendation of approval from the TRC without any conditions. With that, we do have the aerial for reference for the Commission as well as the current zoning map. The faded out areas are just the zoning classifications within the city of Lake Park, which is adjacent. And then, of course, the future development map. We also have the survey depicting the portion of the property that's proposed to be rezoned. It's about 1.79 out of 2.8 acres. And then also we have the allowable uses within CG zoning for reference if you need it. As far as updates, I would tell you and just point to the fact that on the agenda it lists the property as 12.31 acres, and that's just incorrect. It's actually 1.79. Not sure where that number came from, but that's just a typo. That's really our fault, so we apologize. And beyond that, I do have an updated letter of intent that I sent to you by email as well as copied you at your desk. And finally, we continue to receive phone calls and hear from people for this request and against it since the work session. I've tried to detail out a short list of points I think the opposition have mentioned, but at this time I can save that unless the Commission wants to hear it. I do think it's ready for your consideration. I know the applicant and their representatives are here tonight in case you have detailed questions that staff might not be able to answer.
I'd like to get an overview of what the opposition was for the people living in the area.
Yes, sir.
I have one letter in the...
Okay. Yes, sir. We received one letter of opposition. Otherwise, everything else was really just phone calls. Some people calling just to find out and understand their request. Some people calling to express some concerns. Overall, I would say the opposition is about a dozen points. I've heard concerns just about the overall use, concerns about the alcohol proposed for the use, concerns about vacant property nearby, Rascals and the tavern was mentioned specifically, concerns about access onto Old 41 South, which is the property to the rear, the street to the rear, which is not proposed, but there were still concerns about it. Proposed bicycles being used, like Harley type bicycle, heavy motorcycles type use with the facility. The precedent that will be set, potential negative impact for property values, the inconsistency with the future land use map, the Twin Lakes overlay, any nuisances associated with the dumpster, and then of course proposed concern brought up with maybe a smell that was from the restaurant use. But with that, I do believe the applicants are going to address and try to get at some of these concerns, and to their credit, it's also my understanding that they've also met with the Long Pond Homeowner Association to try to address some of their concerns. So I would give that short list to you from my own notes from those conversations and just leave it with you for further consideration.
Okay. Are there any